I would like to announce that a quorum is present. The meeting has been duly called and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. We will now convene into closed session as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551, specifically 551.071, 072, 074, and 082. The time is now 6:02. Well, good evening. We will now reconvene into open session. The time is now 7:07. If you would please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Okay. If I could get a motion, please, to approve personnel recommendations. Thank you, Ms. Latham. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Cox. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And all those opposed? Oh, none. That's unanimous. Okay. So now we will move to hear a request to address the board. Persons desiring to address the Board of Trustees must fill out a speaker's card prior to the meeting. No presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. The board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included on the agenda. And as a follow-up, just so you know, someone from administration will be contacting you to follow up to your questions because we can't have a dialogue here. So the first person I have is Ms. Carol Ball.
Good evening. My name is Carol Baugh, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I have concerns about our district's math curriculum. I understand that TEKS have changed and some concepts are introduced in lower grades than before, yet a number of students lack basic foundational math knowledge on which to build. I'm especially concerned about students that are caught in this transition. Teachers need the flexibility to make curriculum decisions based on their students' needs. They must be able to scaffold lessons with direct teaching if the students don't possess the math foundation to grasp the new concepts. Without mastery of basic math operations, introducing higher-level concepts in earlier grades is counterproductive. Students will simply fall behind earlier. Computer math games are not necessarily helping, and I believe that some of them are detrimental to learning. I'm volunteering this year in a 4th grade math class, and I've watched students briefly play math games when they've completed their work before transition time. Some students make incorrect wild guesses. For 6 times 8, I watched a student choose 134, then rush to the next screen. This is the equivalent of learning to play soccer by repeatedly kicking the ball badly. It's a waste of time, and it's not improving skills. Especially in math, there must be a balance between technology and tradition. There is value in involving cerebral and motor skills to write and solve problems with pencil and paper. Simply touching a screen to select an answer does not involve the same brain functions and motor skills as forming numbers on paper, especially in the lower grades. There's value in manipulatives such as abacuses and interlocking base 10 counters to help students truly learn and internalize math concepts. Teachers should not be penalized on their PDOS evaluations if they're not using technology on the day that they're evaluated. Various instructional methods are valid, and technology should not be favored to the exclusion of everything else. I have 2 questions for LISD's administration. 1, how is the district implementing these changes to the math TEKS to ensure that students receive adequate bridging and scaffolding of math concepts? And 2, how are these TEKS changes being communicated to parents? I've seen nothing district-wide to date. Our students don't have time to be educational experiments. They only have 1 shot at mastering each grade. We owe it to our students to prepare them for the next grade and ultimately for life. In math, I think we can do better than we're doing now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ball. Next, we have Joe Perez.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm Joe Perez with the City of the Colony City Manager's Office. And I want to thank first all of you who were able to attend the Colony High School football game this past weekend. We had a great time spending time with you, and luckily Colony won that game. Very contested game, so it was great having you. Some of you were able to meet Police Chief David Coulon. I wanted to bring him here tonight to introduce you to those who weren't able to meet him. He is our new police chief. He's been with us about a month now, and so he comes from Irving, where he was the assistant police chief there. He's lived in the colony since 2001, and I can tell you that we had over 100 applicants from across the country in our police chief search. So it's a great pleasure. I introduce you to him, and I'd like for him to maybe say a few words to you guys.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Joe. Madam President, Mr. Waddell, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you and just thank you for what you do. One of the reasons I moved to the colony was because of the school district. So my son started off first grade at LISD, and he's going to graduate next year. So I chose that regardless of any job I had, and I've stayed here the entire time, and I really do appreciate that. And you have some fine principals, administrators, and teachers in the colony. So thanks for sending them over there. And it's good to meet y'all.
Thank you. Next, we have Stacy Costas.
In June 2013, I voiced my concerns about how education decisions were being made in LASD. I stated we needed to be mindful of basic core values, we needed proper protocols in place, and we needed to carefully and methodically make wise decisions regarding our children's education. The mentality of figure it out as we go along could negatively impact teachers, families, but more importantly, our children. My concern has now turned to frustration. Many things are wonderful about our school district, but there are aspects that are quite worrisome too. The Pearson Digits Texas version middle school math curriculum that was implemented district-wide was not ready for our kids. So why was it selected? The loss of instructional time has been huge. Students are losing valuable learning time while teachers find themselves in IT help desk roles instead of teaching. They are inundated daily with emails and phone calls from concerned parents. This is unacceptable. Why was the district so slow to communicate to parents about this? Teachers across the district bore the brunt of the questions and comments. LASD should have acknowledged the impact and urgency of the Pearson Digits problem sooner than they did. The math classroom has turned into a troubleshooting lab for Pearson instead of a learning environment for our students. This is a district-wide problem. I would like to suggest the following lessons learned and questions to consider. 1. Being the first to adopt the Texas version of Pearson Digits put instruction time at risk. 2. Lost instruction time is time lost forever. 3. A Plan B should be in place as a fallback when we adopt new curriculums that have never been used before. 4. Why are we using a curriculum that is not device agnostic when 1X promised to be device agnostic? 5. Can we have monthly curriculum updates as well as monthly technology updates at all school board meetings? 6. Has Pearson given a timeline for solutions? I implore the administration to stop rushing through initiatives and slow down the rate of innovation. Our children should not be the ones beta testing Pearson products. My heart goes out to the teachers who are doing the very best they can in a very difficult and challenging teaching environment. So I ask you, take a look at the sign above your heads right now. It reads, "Real innovation and limitless opportunity." These words won't stand true if students continue to lose instruction time because of technology and curriculum issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ron Hicks.
Good evening, Lewisville ISD Board. Thank you for your time. My name is T. Ron Hicks. I am with Stop Bullying Our Purpose. My purpose here tonight is we as a community, we need your help. We need to protect our babies from this enemy called bullying. Every 90 seconds, a child is being bullied in the class at school. Over 3.25 million studies are bullied throughout a school year. We at SBOP, we need you to stand with us in our fight against bullying. We need your help to get the word out. On Saturday, October 25th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the cities of Lewisville and Flower Mound, their government officials are coming to help us to host the world's largest anti-bullying party. It is free. There's a lot of free, vital information. There will be games, giveaways, and special guests and entertainment. Please help us protect our children. I also wrote a book, How I Overcame Bullying. We united, the community and the LISD. We can stop bullying. United, we can stop the bull. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Jill France.
Good evening, board members, leadership team, and Dr. Waddell. We are the teachers of the great community of College Street Elementary, where our mission is that College Street is a welcoming community where individual strengths are valued and everyone feels empowered to be positive leaders. You've likely heard of us as mentioned as the smallest school in the district, the oldest school in the district, or the school in the second year needing improvement as determined by TEA. However, we are here with you this evening to tell you about the big leadership growing inside our modest walls and about our recent paradigm shift that all children can be leaders.
Day by day, we are meeting the goal of our mission statement to empower positive leaders through the Leader in Me, which was developed to implement the 7 habits of highly effective people for young students. We have been charged with the task of growing young learners into young leaders of learning. In just 6 short weeks, we have seen astonishing student growth in leadership. Here are just a few examples of what you would hear walking down the hallway of our school. A first grader was thinking win-win during a math workstation and said, "It's not a winning game. We all win if we get to play the game and learn." Another first grader began with the end in mind and presented a plan to his grandmother of why he is responsible enough to participate in the school fundraiser. One Super Cougar third grader was on the announcements for being a leader. His peer found him in the hallway later that day and said, "Great job being proactive." While putting away instruments and music, a second grader eased frustration among his peers by saying, "Hey, let's all think win-win."
Administrators on our campus make positive phone calls to parents during which moms and dads report how happy their kids are whenever they're coming home from school and how they're using the 7 habits language at home as well. One of our first steps of the Leader in Me is for the staff to become trained on the 7 habits and start living the habits in our own lives. As you walk our school, you'll see the teachers thinking win-win in vertical planning, synergizing and beginning with the end in mind while planning engaging lessons, being proactive about their own 7 habits journey, and living a balanced life while sharpening the saw.
We'd like to use this time as well to thank LEF for supporting our journey. We were recently awarded a grant that supports 7 habits integration into our instruction. We'd also like to thank the Lewisville Area Chamber of Commerce for recognizing our efforts and awarding us as September's School of the Month. We'd love for you to follow our journey on our Cougar Corner blog spot at csecougarcorner.blogspot.com, on our College Street Facebook page, and using the hashtag CSELeads on Twitter. We also welcome you to stop by our school anytime to get a firsthand look at College Street, where LISD's profound learning began and where everyone feels empowered to be positive leaders. Thank you for your time this evening and continued support of LISD schools.
Thank you. Last, we have Christine Pritchett.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me present today. My name is Christine Pritchett, and I'm a parent to a first grader at Highland Village Elementary. I'm here today to request that the class size waiver is removed for the Highland Village Elementary first graders. In doing my research, I noted that one researcher said that the problem in class size reduction is that it's not personal. It's very personal to me and to a lot of the families where the children are in 23 and 24 students per classroom. A decade after researchers identified group size as an iron triangle variable, they concluded that if there's a single critical component to quality, it rests in the relationship between the child and the teacher-caregiver and the ability of the adult to be responsive to the child. Group size works to raise program quality, not simply because there is magic in having a particular number of children gathered together, but because when the number of children is small, each child gets more individual attention and interaction is more likely. Small groups do not automatically produce quality. Quality lies in what can be achieved because the size of the group is small. Group size is therefore a key indicator of program quality. Obviously, the board is very aware of the 22 class size limit established for grades K through 4 by the state of Texas. This 22 limit is pretty high, and the state, to put a limit at 22, it's pretty stretched anyway. The National Education Association states that research shows that the learning increases as class size is reduced, especially in the early grades. NEA considers 15 students to be the optimum class size, especially in kindergarten and first grade. Researchers have documented benefits from class sizes of 15 to 18 students in K and fewer than 20 in students in grades 1 through 3. What am I saying, and what are the researchers saying? We're saying that 22 students is too many, especially in the early years. I do not understand why LISD would create a model that exceeds the 22 and extends the program to grades K through 4. In 2011, LISD was told to create a program to be in compliance with the Texas regulations of a 22 max. Instead, we have a model that was established that said that in each classroom, in each grade, there must be 24 children per room before they will request another teacher. I was in a jury duty last week, and I heard a county prosecutor say that integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Someone else said that they noted that it was on their wall at their school. I see integrity in statements all over the website. I do not understand why a model is in direct violation of the laws of the school. The model is at 24. The state says 22. We've heard here tonight that many people move here to be part of the LISD environment. We moved here. I would like to request that the integrity be restored, the LSAD not exceed the requirements and begin with the K through 1 groups and provide them the correct support. We have the empty classrooms.
Ms.
We
Pritchard.
need the support. Oh, I did it? I'm sorry. I didn't look.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Madam President, can I ask for a point of privilege?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to let everyone know that this Wednesday is Texas Education Human Resources Day. And Dr. Brockman, I would just ask that you share with the staff the appreciation that we have for what it takes to run a district like this and to find the best teachers and administrators that we have. And I know it's quite an endeavor, and we just appreciate all you do.
Thank you so much, and I will definitely pass that along. Thank you.
All right, next we are moving into information items. So, Dr. Rogers.
Yes, ma'am. And sorry to say there's never an operations day. So, anyway. But we'll work to create that.
That's so sad.
I missed it. We do have Mr. Garrett, our beloved Mr. Garrett, here to present safety and security update. We asked, or you asked for us to provide a semi-annual report on what he's doing, and I promise you I keep him busy. So, Mr. Garrett.
All right. Good evening, Board. Dr. Waddell and District Leadership. This is the semi-annual update for safety and security. Last year, about this time, brand new position, brand new guy right here. It's been a busy year, and we look forward to another busy year for 2014-15. Just a recap of what we did last year, and these are the real big highlights. And we've already talked about it in the spring at the update then, but really to understand where the district was system-wise, procedure-wise, equipment-wise. We did the safety and security audits, which we do every 3 years. That really helped me get a baseline, the knowledge across the district so that we can start moving forward this year on several initiatives, which we'll talk about. We hosted the annual LISD safety and security meeting with our public safety officials, police chiefs, fire chiefs, emergency managers, and we use those opportunities to talk about the projects and priorities and get feedback from them so that we can change if we need to have some change going on. We conduct those in the wintertime, and we will have our third annual safety and security update. We'll have our new chiefs from the Colony and Highland Village there. We also will be inviting public health officials this year. We've seen some stuff going on in the news lately, and we really want to make sure that those lines of communications are open, which we are. We're talking with them daily this week, and want to have those folks involved. And really the big thing we took away, other than these audits and through our daily operations, is we're really trying to strengthen that partnership and relationship with our public safety officials. And I think we've made a lot of headway in that and look forward to doing it again this year. Going into what we're doing for 2014 and 15. We are now in our 3-year audit cycle. Thankfully, I can actually do it in 1 month instead of 3.5 months. We will be doing the East Zone this year, and we will be providing an overview of the findings in the spring update to y'all, just like we did last spring. We are in the process of finalizing and implementing recommendations for school resource officer ratios. We're not that far off from my recommendations where we should be on school resource officers. The difference, we have one in each of our high schools and 9th and 10th grade campuses. The middle schools is where it gets a little different. But we do feel that with these recommendations implemented, and it will take about 2 years to do that since we've got 13 months of training that the cities have to do, budgeting, I do think we're on the right path with that if that's implemented. In May, y'all approved Phase 1 security camera enhancements. That was the replacement of about 400 analog security cameras, which would get us completely digital, a central storage solution, and new software that would enable us cross-platform use, whether it's PC, Mac, Android, iOS. And what's more important is it offers us access off the network. So not only will campus administrators have it when they're off-site, first responders could have it when they're en route to our sites. Dispatch centers could be able to use it during an incident and radio in critical information to the responding officers. We are implementing that. There is a slight delay with software implementation. I'm working with IT and purchasing on that to get the solution in place, and then we'll be moving forward because that's pretty critical when it comes into design of Phase 2, which we heard during our budget talks of a few months back. I will be developing a Phase 2, which is the enhancement of the system. We really want to try to get the holes covered. We want to make sure that public areas and entrances, exits, bus pickup and drop-off points, as well as parent pickup and drop-off points. I think that's very important that we be able to see and make sure we have that data in place in case we have an incident. We're also this year in development of a security operations center. This is a way where we can try to get our streams of information together and create a really good unified situational awareness picture, whether it's cameras, radar feeds, radio communications, having the displays up so that we can see a little bit more than what's on 2 screens on a desk. There's a lot of data out there, and when we have weather, such as last week, we're trying to manage it. Having one of these locations where we can also have folks come in and talk about the situation and make decisions, it's very critical. We'll also be preparing a proposal for the expansion of some capabilities within safety and security. You know, we've got a long list of projects in the queue, and I'm trying to knock them out as fast as I can, but you know, we've got some challenges. East Zone, you know, it's a 25-minute drive just to get to the East Zone, and so recommendations of getting a staff member out there so that we can shrink that response time, helping those schools, helping all schools within drills, trainings, audits, checking the buildings, assisting the campuses with any other thing, because I'm at that point where I won't be able to go to every request I get, and it's a good problem to have. You know, the staffs are open, receptive to these suggestions and improvements. So, another thing that we've been working on is a concept of a 24/7 monitoring capability. So, with the more the systems that we develop, a more comprehensive and cohesive system, the ability for us or the need for us to monitor it's actually a lot more important. Right now, we've got a few systems that we use on a reactive basis, but we're trying to be proactive here. We're trying to use these systems so that we can be alerted to an issue before it's an issue and get the right folks in route, whether it's police, fire, or even LISD staff. There's also discussions about a proposal that we will be bringing forward, whether it's a partial or complete transition of high school security campus guards or security guards at campuses. We do have some issues with those. The companies, whether it's the company we used last year or the company we use just this year, are receptive. When I call them with a concern or issue, it's typically resolved. Now, the big problem is that they just cycle folks through. And so we have these things that we deal with constantly. We also have had great success in some of our campuses. And, some issues that we had at a high school last week, it was actually stopped by a security guard. And that really made me happy. He was aware, he was receptive, and he took the incident at hand and dealt with it. So kudos to him. In all of my updates, emergency plans and procedures are always on it. These are living documents. They've always got to be reviewed, updated. We look at the best practices out there, and those are actually changing. School safety and security is one of those things. There's a lot of thought processes going on, and so we're always going to be reviewing those. Preparations for Caney Elementary, just like we had the 2 ninth grade centers or campuses that opened up this year, we'll be working with Ms. Nelson on those to develop new emergency plans for the new building, evacuation plans. Once we get school started, we'll actually need to hit them with some drills pretty quick so that we know that all those students know the new building and how to get in and out. Real quick, wanted to also talk, and this kind of goes back into the bigger picture of the audit that we did last year. Safety and security systems. We already have fire alarms. We have burglar alarms. But there's a lot of safety and security systems that we could be looking at and developing long-term strategies for. Whether it's notification and communication. Whether cell phones will go down. We've had issues with that. So are we looking at radio systems and developing a comprehensive wide area network? Are we looking at instant notification so that we can do a quick call to police rather than having someone dial 911 if there's an incident that occurs on campus? We have perimeter and access controls. The important part of that is that there's newer technology, new door sensors that could help us, aid us in door propping or certain things where if we're seeing an issue with the door unlocked, we could lock it from afar. It's just those capabilities. Situational awareness ties in with cameras, but there's also ways where we could be sending information out to our campus administrators. And I'm not just saying it by an email, but some systems they can log into and understand what's going on, what are we doing, what they need to be thinking of, instead of me trying to type an email and send it out and hoping that they get it. And one of the hardest ones is building design and hardening. We can design buildings, and we have on these newer buildings, where they're more restrictive on the opening or in the entrances. They have to be buzzed in. You have to check in at the front desk. And our older buildings might not have that. They might have the 2 security doors, which are standard in all of our buildings, but we need to look at our offices. Are they secure? Are we offering them protections in those sense? With that, that's really what my 2014-15 school year looks like on top of all the little things that pop up. But I do want to take this time to really thank the board and district leadership for the support and the attention that y'all have for safety and security. I do want to also thank the campuses because they have been very receptive to these changes and these recommendations. It's been great. And I also want to thank the departments, especially information technology, facility services, and communications, because it seems like every day we've got some kind of incident that involves one of us tied together, and we really are working to develop a very good, comprehensive, cohesive safety and security system. So thank you.
Thank you. I know we are all appreciative of everything that you've done. You're a one-man show, and maybe that'll change. But thank you. Does anybody have any comments? Oh, there you go. Ms. Cox? Oh.
Mr. Garrett, thank you. Dr. Rogers, 2 things. One is I want to reiterate every time we have this discussion that I think this can't go fast enough, and I think that right now the issue is staffing, but if the issue is money, I think we need to address that sooner rather than later. I'll save my thoughts on where I think there are vulnerabilities because I don't think it's good to expose that publicly. But I think I would like to have that conversation. So Dr. Waddell, maybe Dr. Rogers and I, after visiting some campuses and what's happened the last couple of weeks, there's some areas that concern me. That said, Dr. Rogers, I think you owe that security guard some sunglasses. 'Cause I talked to him, and he showed me his sunglasses, and I think it's a small thing for us to do. If you could expense that,
I think we
get
can.
him some $20 sunglasses, that would be great.
We'll take care of that. I'll get him some that aren't my prescription ones. So.
Ms. Cox.
Well, thank you again for what you do. We do appreciate you. One of the questions I had was with the new schools opening, are you coordinating with presentations to make at the campuses with parents to let them know the security and the check with the new schools?
So with the two ninth grade campuses that opened up this year, those communications came from the principal and the school resource officers. Thankfully, those campuses had their own SRO, and they were fully capable of handling those questions. In fact, I think it comes better from them sometimes than me. They look for that uniform, and they say, here's the question, and the SRO tells them, and they feel comfortable with it. I did work with Mr. Skelton on developing those plans. We made sure that those plans were able to be addressed with no questions asked from him, and I felt that it went well. Now, KME might be a different subject, and we can work with Ms. Nelson on that. They do not, an elementary school doesn't have an assigned SRO, although that the two SROs in the colony will probably be able to assist in that, but I will be addressing that with the campus.
All right, thank you so much. And Dr. Rogers, you are still up.
Yes, ma'am. Nearly 3 years ago, the board modified policy GKD local, which deals with facility use or for non-school use of school facilities. And so since then, we've asked Mr. Williams to sort of give an annual update as far as the use of our facilities by groups. And so Mr. Williams is here.
Thank you, Ms. Sheffield, Dr. Waddell, members of the board. Bring the annual report of Policy GKD Local and the activity for use of our buildings and properties in non-school times. I won't read the report that you have there before you, but we'll just highlight a few things. I'd point out that in the last school year, the 2013 and 14, we processed 4,524 separate events by 157 different organizations for use of our buildings and grounds through our rental process. Youth football, youth soccer, youth basketball, swimming and diving events at both of our pools, a Boys and Girls Scouts, myriad of things through the YMCA program. Literally have brought thousands and thousands of people onto our school property and into our facilities as these places have been made available to the community. Although youth athletics takes up a lot of that, it's not just reserved to the youth of that. We've got a number of adult athletic leagues that participate. Of the 4,524 events, over 600 of those we classify as just miscellaneous events. Churches have used our buildings. Homeowners associations have had their meetings there, their monthly meetings. We've had ballet and theater productions. We even had one alumni couple request use of one of the baseball fields, and they were married at home plate this year as we make these things available. I would just comment on an initiative the board adopted 2 years ago to fence our middle school football fields, practice fields, grass fields. Because the use was so intensive, we were having trouble keeping them in good shape. Still a great success on those. We're able to keep turf growing. We're able to keep the soil from being compacted so hard that it becomes dangerous. And would just say that from our users, from our school coaches and the kids in the programs, very appreciative of the success of that program, and would like to continue doing that. We continue to make our properties available via GKD Local to the community and process these through our rental department. We try to get everybody to follow the same process, the same procedures, provide insurance. We try to have supervisors at every event inside a building, so we have a school employee that knows what's going on. We have a variety of payment scales from depending upon a for-profit or a non-profit, and so that the use is not, the cost is not too extensive for those who do not need to be, but at least able to cover our custodial costs and our cleaning cost, and sometimes a little bit of electricity. So 4,524 events for last year, and it looks like this year is shaping up to be busy as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just have two things. So have we ever considered, or are we, well, I believe we are looking into the use of our stadiums. And the other thing is, have we given any consideration, or would we give any consideration to automating our process so that we don't have one person kind of it seems like a lot. I mean, based on the numbers that you gave us, it seems like a overwhelming task for just one person.
Ms. Sheffield, two great questions. One, Coach Ford, the athletic director, Mr. Williams, and myself have probably been working for about 6 months looking at the possibility of making some modifications if the board so chooses to GKD local. And one of those modifications would be to consider stadium use. Stadiums right now are not allowed to be rented per the policy. Certainly we get a lot of requests to rent stadiums. Some districts surrounding us do rent their stadiums. So we would certainly think that that might be an appropriate topic for a future board workshop. The other thing, certainly as we continue to grow in volume, we're going to have to look at the system on how it's handled, and that's certainly been discussed too.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Yes, Ms. Duke.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for your report. I know over the years some of our taxpayers want to be able to use our facilities even more, and it's so difficult. Fortunately, I understand when we did field up the middle school fields, it helped a lot because it was costing the taxpayers more money to have them open because people were using them without permission. So unfortunately, it's the lesser of all the evils to keep damage from our property. And I do appreciate you and your staff getting our taxpayers in and letting the students, and for everybody to remember, our students get to use the properties first. But there was something on here about the football stadiums, and people are always asking if they can use the tracks and if they can use the bleachers. And it's my understanding, I thought I read something that said no, but the coaches are pretty open with letting people come in and run the bleachers, and if it's not locked, and using that. Is that correct?
Our policy says no stadium use, and to my knowledge, we should not be letting them inside the fence.
Shh, don't tell anyone. Okay. Okay, but thank you for what you do. I appreciate it.
Ms. Duke, thanks for advertising that.
We need to rewind that tape. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Okay. Oh, yes, Ms. Hassett.
I was wondering why the tennis courts. We don't rent out the tennis courts?
Yes, ma'am, that is a good question, and thank you. We do rent out the tennis courts, and part of them are used significantly in after non-school hours. I left them off the list, but we do rent them.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Rogers, once again.
I promise, the last time. We have tonight several individuals that really play an important role in the health and wellness initiatives that our district has participated in, and so I'd like to recognize Ms. Vincelette, the Director of Health Services, and Robin Fry, our new Director of Health and PE, and also want to recognize Sheila Gardner, who was our previous Health and PE Director Coordinator, because she did a lot of the work on some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So, and she happens to be here. She is now in Frisco, but we appreciate your service, Sheila.
Okay, as Kevin mentioned, we're here to tell you about some of the exciting things that are going on in health and wellness throughout the district. But he did ask me to review what we are doing also regarding Ebola and enterovirus D68. So I want to tell you some things that we are already doing in this district. We teach universal precautions and the use of personal protective equipment to every employee. We teach hand washing, and we reinforce it throughout the school year. We exclude students with a temperature of 100 degrees or above, and they can't come back until they're fever-free for 24 hours. Our custodial staff is already cleaning our high-touch surfaces every night. We're resupplying the hand sanitizers throughout our campuses. Our nurses, I keep them up to date due to my constant contact with the Denton County Health Department on all of the medical provider alerts and the critical alerts that we give. In conjunction with the Denton County Health Department, I have developed a protocol for the rare event that we may actually come across something that meets the criteria for potential Ebola case. We've got that in place as well. And in conclusion, I'd like to say that I talk to the Denton County Health Department more than I talk to my husband. So that's how it feels right now. So I feel like we have a very good proactive plan as well as things in place to do the best of our ability to take care of what we do, because we are fielding some parent concerns, as I'm sure some of you are. On to more exciting news. I need to talk about the employee initiatives that we have that are going on. First off, last year in about springtime, a District Employee Wellness Committee was formed, and the committee developed a survey that went out to employees at the beginning of the school year, and it's just coming back and Karen's telling me it's really exciting, some of the things that it's showing us, and interesting, maybe some of the things we thought were important that they do not, so that's good news. We also worked with Aramark in developing a healthier catering menu for our employees. We now have egg white sandwiches and some salads and yogurt parfaits on the menu for options that we can choose as we're planning our meetings. And another real important thing is we applied for and were awarded the American Heart Association's Gold Fit Friendly Workplace Award. And that award just recognizes us for the health and wellness initiatives that we have. There is a platinum level to that award, and we're going for it. In the next 2 years, I hope to be back here telling you about us achieving that. Also, we just concluded free flu vaccines. Human Resources partnered with Health Services in organizing and getting these out to the employees. All employees had an option for a free flu vaccine, as well as they also could take advantage of additional immunizations if they needed, which you know I highly supported. So that was another excellent thing that the district did, considering there's 33,000 people on the average that die a year of flu. I'm going to turn it over to Robin Fry to tell you what's going on with students.
So we have 3 great student initiatives, and sorry, thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you here. We have the Healthy Zone Schools recognition program, which is awarded from Cooper Institute and United Way of Dallas. And we have 5 schools that are represented. We have Central Elementary. I saw them all come in. Timber Creek. We have the PE teacher here from Timber Creek. Vickery, Hicks, and Forest Vista. And I do know that Timber Creek, the PE teacher, just did a health fair, family night, and the purpose of this program is to really get their grant funding for resources to engage the whole community, the families, the whole community to understand about health wellness. So she just had a great family health fair night, and then Central, I've been contacted by their principal, Ms. Jared. They're going to be doing some wellness activities, initiatives for staff and students as well. So haven't made it over. It's the 3rd day on the job. Haven't made it over to Central yet. I'll get there, though, but y'all are doing great things. And I wanted to talk about the 21-day challenge, which I met with Ryan Eason Thursday, Ms. Vincelette and I, Nassim from PTA Council President. We went to go and share this initiative with Congressman Michael Burgess on Thursday before the rainstorm. And it was incredible because Children's Medical City Hospital has been working with culinary students throughout different districts, and they're having them teaching kids. Kids are making recipes for 200 calories or less, 7 grams of fat or less, and we're doing a 21-day challenge, which our district will start in February. And the Colony High School culinary students have put together a recipe book, and our PTA council has always been supportive of this, but we're going to do this as a district, and we're trying to get kids to go home and choose a healthy snack. And then Medical City then will do a survey, and we'll see if they're on the right track, if they enjoyed that. And the thing I like about it is that it's kids teaching kids. So these are our students, the Colony High School students in our district, teaching our kids to be healthy. And our 3rd initiative is awesome, and we have a great presentation for you. You're going to love this part. So I'm going to turn it over to Gina Ratnikaya. Did I say it close enough? Close enough.
Anyone who tries gets a gold star.
Good evening. It's a pleasure tonight to wrap up our presentation regarding student health and wellness and employee health and wellness in the district, because this is truly a culmination of partnership between health services, physical education, and child nutrition, in that we have been working for about a year on a grant called Fuel Up to Play 60. And I'd be remiss, and I know Sheila was already recognized, if I didn't recognize Sheila Gardner and also Tyler Sullivan from Child Nutrition, because the two of them have continued to move this process forward. I just get to stand up here and talk about how cool it is that we're about to receive something and move forward on more health and wellness initiatives. So, as I said, Fuel Up to Play 60 has been a one-year process from application to developing plays to implement healthy activity and health and wellness in the lunchroom at LASD. And so we want to thank both our respective teams for physical education and child nutrition who are here. And I want to introduce Morgan English, who is from the Dairy Foundation, and she's going to give us a little more information about the program. And also we have an exciting announcement.
Thank you, Gina. And thank you all for having us this evening. I first just want to thank you again for having us, and thank you for your commitment to the students, not only on their academics, but their overall health and wellness. By supporting the SHAC recommendation about a year ago to implement Fuel Up to Play 60 as your health and wellness program in your elementary schools, it really has come to fruition. And today is an exciting day. We get to show you what the hard work that Sheila and Tyler and Gina and Robin and everyone in child nutrition and the PE teachers in the elementary schools that are really making it happen in the schools. And Fuel Up to Play 60, its mission is really simple: eating healthy, being physically active, and making a difference, and empowering students to do that, encouraging students to do that, and making a difference not only for themselves, but for their families and their community, really a coordinated school health program. And it's unique in that it can really elevate and support current initiatives, or it can provide more opportunities for students to be healthy, to eat healthy, to be physically active. And that's what Lewisville has chosen to do. You've chosen to provide more opportunities by providing yogurt parfaits in the cafeteria, at lunch, and a la carte, and by providing physical activity breaks in the classroom for your students to learn while they move. They can learn geography, math, all kinesthetic learning, because we know that healthy students are better students. And so I'm really excited to see the success stories that come out of Lewisville this year because of Fuel Up to Play 60. And with that, I'd like to introduce my boss, Allison Kirshner, for the real exciting news.
Thank you, Morgan, and thank you for welcoming us. I'd be remiss if I just didn't take an opportunity as a representative of Dairy Max to thank Morgan for her efforts, because it doesn't happen just, it's a collective effort. So not only the key players that she mentioned, but also Morgan. So thank you for everything that you've done to get us to this point today. So it's really an honor to be here and actually have what's behind the podium right now. And I just want to say, on behalf of Dairy Max and on behalf of the dairy farmers that we support, I would like to just present this Fuel Up to Play 60 grant check to you, and also make mention that Lewisville ISD is the only district that was awarded a grant for this past funding session. So I really want to just pat yourselves on the back for that and really take notice in that. So I'd like to present the check now. So this is a Fuel Up to Play 60 grant check for $140,000 to Lewisville ISD.
And if we can have everyone that worked on that, please come forward, and Sheila, please come forward too. And by the way, Ms. Sheffield, they actually gave me the real check, and I have turned it over to Dr. Burnett.
We have several from Child Nutrition here this evening. Teachers.
All right, guys, take two. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. All right. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Duke.
I just have one real quick question. First, thank you so much for that donation for us. But in the health and wellness, are we including anything about the American Diabetes Association and diabetes health and wellness in that program? Does anybody want to answer that question?
I can tell you that there are some of our schools that do promote it through the diabetes walks, et cetera. It is not a consistent program throughout the district. It just depends on focus.
Some trips do the jump rope for heart, some do the...
Well, thank you, and thank you all for all the work you've been doing. That's really exciting. Some great things happening, so appreciate it all. All right, Dr. Rogers, you do not get to talk anymore. We are now going to change gears. So, Dr. Brockman?
I don't know how I follow a check for $140,000, but we're going to forge ahead. Yeah, the TASB update is not going to be the way to follow up a $140,000 check. TASB Localized Policy Update 100 is upon us. There are several topics addressed in this update, including performance reporting, district and campus improvement plan requirements, security personnel, instructional materials allotments, records management, employee health insurance, district employment practices, staff development, credit by exam, revocation of student transfers, and public information. And just as a reminder, I have provided information on both the legal policies as well as the local. The legal policy information is provided to you as an information item and as an assist to provide context, but the board will be asked in a couple of months to approve the local policies, not the legal. So I'm going to focus there, our time on the local policies. The first one is CKE Local Safety Program Risk Management Security Personnel. This is a new policy for us. It goes within the context of revisions to CKE Legal. And basically, CKE Legal is talking about all of the different security program options that districts have, from district police forces to SROs to school marshals, and our local new policy recommended for inclusion is really getting down to what LISD uses, which is the SROs as part of a comprehensive safety and security program. CPC, Local Office Management, Records Management. This is just updating some of the statutory references in the policy for public information. Also in place of where we used to make a big deal of posting things on the website, which is not a big deal anymore. It emphasizes that when there are not specific provisions in the law for how long records need to be maintained, that we will do our best to inform the public of what our practices are. Obviously, where there is a legal requirement to keep things for so long, we absolutely do that. The next one is CRD, Local Insurance and Annuities Management, Health and Life Insurance. This, again, is within the context of changes to the legal policy to reflect the Affordable Care Act and the changes that that brought to the employee health and health insurance realm. The revisions to the local policy are making it more consistent with the new legal guidelines in the legal policy. The next group I'm going to treat as a group. DCB Local, which is about term contracts. DCC Local, which is about continuing contracts. DCD Local, which is about at-will employment. And DCE Local is about other types of contracts. And this is a lot of cleanup work. Our policies in this area, our local policies over time, had begun to really refer to other types of contracts within the different policies, and it's just cleaning it up. If you want information on a term contract, you go to that policy rather than finding it embedded somewhere else. So just some cleanup work there. FDA, local admissions, interdistrict transfers. This is a key revision based on the recent commissioner decision, Child versus Skidmore-Tynan Independent School District, which has to do with when and how you can revoke a student transfer once they have started the school year. And it explains that if a transfer student violates the district rules and regulations, we can take that into account in approving the transfer for the following year, but we cannot use that to revoke a transfer mid-year. And last but not least, GKB local, community relations, advertising, and fundraising in our schools. These revisions really are along the lines of defining what is advertising, as that is becoming more common in school districts. When is it advertising? When is it fundraising? And providing some cross-references as appropriate. So this will come back next month as a discussion item. Happy to entertain any questions that you have.
Okay, well, I think since it's coming back for discussion, we can hold that then, but I would say if anybody has questions between now and then, we can forward those to you.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. All right, next we were moving on to discussion items. So Dr. Brockman.
This is a lot more fun than TASB localized policy update. Our strategic design update for the month is an exciting opportunity that was provided for our teachers and students this past summer. And I would like to introduce 3 of our strategic design coaches that will then introduce the teachers and the students and the partner that are with them tonight. We have Carice Reidinger, we have Jana Claxton, and Tamberly Wheeler, who's recovering, and it will sit. So, ladies, take it away.
And we also have Erin Hollowell here with us tonight from Southridge, and 2 of our lovely students that got to attend the STEM Power Camp, Allie Horton and Emma, and they will speak on behalf of that tonight. Good evening. My name is Carice Reidinger, here with fellow strategic design coaches Jana Claxton and Tamberly Wheeler. Together, we designed and facilitated a summer STEM learning experience for teachers and students. It is with great pleasure and excitement that we are able to be here tonight for the strategic design update. While keeping in mind LISD's strategic design mission, we looked at innovative science practices happening in the U.S. involving science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM. Our attention was drawn to the fact that national science statistics show a low percentage of women represented in STEM fields. We are motivated to provide an experience that encourages LISD girls about STEM concepts. We also knew the importance of developing teachers' understanding of STEM. This is where our idea of STEM Power professional learning in STEM Power Camp came from. The project included 2 critical components, a 3-day Teacher STEM Academy and a 3-day student STEM camp called STEM Power. There were 2 main goals guiding the STEM Academy and Camp project. Each were equally important and had their own purpose to impact the learners involved, including both teachers and students. One of the goals was to provide teachers opportunities to deepen their understanding of STEM concepts through first-hand experiences and facilitation of STEM activities with the text in mind. The other was to provide experiences that encourage and motivate elementary girls about STEM concepts while enhancing their science inquiry and processing skills. In order to provide opportunities for teachers to apply their learning to facilitate STEM activities, we partnered with science and math curriculum supervisors Jonas Green and Melissa Golden. To integrate the Teacher STEM Professional Learning Academy and STEM Power Camp, teachers began this journey by attending a 2.5-day STEM Professional Learning Academy. This was facilitated by Jonas and Melissa. At the Academy, the teachers explored the engineering design process in order to integrate math and science texts. After completing the Professional Learning Academy, teachers walked away with Engineering is Elementary kits and STEM strategies to embed these concepts into their lesson design during the school year. Later in the summer, they had the opportunity for an authentic teaching experience. This gave teachers a risk-free environment to apply their knowledge with students. According to Joyce and Showers, there is as much as an 85% increase in teacher application of new learning with coaching and feedback. With the combination of STEM professional learning experience and the practical classroom facilitation, teachers were able to internalize the STEM concepts and apply their own learning into their own classrooms and schools. We have teacher participant Erin Hollowell with us tonight to share about her experience.
Hello, my name is Erin Hollowell. I myself am a product of LISD. I graduated from Marcus High School in 2009, and I now teach third grade at Southridge Elementary. And I would like to share my experience at the STEM Academy with you today. And the STEM Academy that was held this summer was the best professional development session I've ever been to. Melissa and Jonas did a great job of presenting and making it very exciting and interactive. But the thing that made it really different from other professional developments I've been to was that we had the chance to actually teach students the materials that we were taught, which was really helpful. And the STEM Power Camp was great. From the teacher's point of view, it was helpful to teach the material so quickly after being trained on it. And I think from the students' point of view, they just had a lot of fun. The girls just seemed to really have a blast and have a great time doing it. Due to the blaring gender divide in the engineering field and the engineering careers in our country, it was really important that this camp was a chance for girls to just have fun, create, explore, and enjoy using STEM skills, and I definitely think it accomplished that goal. My experience this summer and the excitement that I felt when learning about STEM encouraged me to start a STEM club at my school. So actually tomorrow is the first day of the STEM Power Club at Southridge Elementary, so I have 39 3rd through 5th grade girls coming to me after school, and we're going to start, and I'm really excited about that. My vision for my club is just to create a lot of intrigue and engineering in those girls at my school so that we can get them on the right path towards just loving using those skills. My principal has graciously ordered engineering kits through Pearson's Project STEM, and engineering is elementary for my club. And I also think it'd be really cool. I have plans for engineers to actually come and speak to my girls and to tell them about what it's like to be engineers. And I think that it is extremely important that we teach STEM education in our schools. The problem-solving skills that are naturally woven into the engineering design process can be used throughout all subjects. I think that's really important. I'm really looking forward to starting this STEM adventure with my girls at Southridge, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Thank you.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about the second part of the project, which was the camp. So in order to encourage and motivate elementary girls about STEM concepts, we piloted 2 summer STEM camps for girls entering 4th through 6th grades. We had about 90 girls who participated in a 3-day experience, either in the morning or the afternoon of that summer camp. They worked collaboratively through inquiry processes to design, build, test, and redesign products that would solve a real-world problem. They explored STEM concepts through investigations using simple materials and had fun. The girls completed a pre- and post-survey that allowed us to measure success of this goal. We asked the girls, do you use science and math every day? Prior to the camp, 48% of the girls said yes, they use science and math every day. After completing the camp, this rose to 66%. When asked if it's important to know science to get a good job, there was a 10% increase of girls saying yes. Interest also rose 10% when asked about an after-school STEM club at their campus. We also asked the girls how they felt about science, and we saw a 15% increase from 42% to 57% of girls who said they loved science. Every question from the post-assessment showed an increase in attitudes, beliefs, and application of STEM concepts. We do have 2 camp participants here tonight, Allie and Emma. They're going to share a little about their STEM camp experience. So Allie is first. It's okay.
My favorite part of STEM camp program was the egg drop challenge because I think that it helps you express your creativity and think of totally different ideas. We had to build something to hold the egg into to see if it will or won't crack. We used straws, popsicle sticks, tape, and scissors. We kind of made a cradle to not make it crack. So we used the straws for the cushions and sides, and then the popsicle sticks for a raft, and the tape to tape it all together. And we didn't use scissors.
Allie, can you tell them a little bit about the process of the egg drop? Did you only make one, or what was that process?
We did 3 trials to see if we could do like different ideas and to test our abilities to see if it would change or not. So.
Hi, I'm Emma, and I am I was in 5th grade when I started the camp, and I'm in 6th at Shadow Ridge Elementary. I really like going to STEM camp because we got to do all kinds of experiments that taught us about stuff like engineering and science. My favorite experiment was the egg drop one. I learned a lot about engineering and force and motion. The egg drop challenge and the parachute challenge were what taught me the most about force and motion and engineering. I think that this camp will help anyone learn more about math and science.
Can you tell us a little bit about the parachute design that your group did?
Okay, so for our parachute design, we experimented with. At first we tried using the felt, but we found out really quickly that didn't work. It was too heavy. We had already ruled out the mesh netting because in our earlier experiments we had found out that didn't work. So we went ahead and tried a huge coffee filter. At first we had drawn all over it. Well, that made it sink again. So we just kind of left it plain and it worked.
Okay, thank you. Another essential element of the STEM Power Camp was community involvement. Through a partnership with Siemens Corporation, we were able to provide the camp completely free to all participants. Siemens Corporation generously provided funds, allowing us to purchase camp materials and STEM kits for teachers to take back to their classroom. In addition, teams from Siemens Corporation facilitated the egg drop activity, which you just heard all about, on the camp's final day. We are extremely thankful for their support and participation. Siemens Area Manager Craig Banazuski is here to speak about the partnership between LISD and Siemens Corporation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Just really want to talk about the importance of STEM and what it means from the business community. If you look out, I graduated from college 24 years ago. I went to a mechanical engineering degree, and I met my wife there, and the ratio of men to women was 6-1. Okay, that was 24 years ago. Today, it's still 5-1. There's a huge issue that when we look out of women are not going into the engineering fields. I mean, you think about diversity in the workspace. For us, diversity is more than just your race, right? It's sex, it's your ethnic background. Huge challenge that we have as a company. We look forward 20 years, right? The number of degrees coming out of the U.S. in general in STEM is down 20% in the last 30 years. So as a company, we're looking at how do we go forward in our business where 70% of our employees, the 330,000, have STEM degrees. We're not going to be able to find them in the United States. We're going to have to go elsewhere. So we're looking as an organization, how do we change that model? How are we going to have success in the U.S. in finding employees in the next 20 years? And this is one idea that we have, is getting involved early. We do a lot of programs that are at the college level. And what we're finding is, yes, we can have some impact, but we're not changing the ratios. It's still a very male-dominated field, and we have to get involved earlier and more often. And Siemens is one company of many that has money to help. And I would just suggest you is ask, because the money is out there, we're interested, and we want to help. So please ask.
And if that wasn't enough, another important partnership included female guest speakers from the community currently working in various STEM fields such as engineering, water treatment, government contracts, and healthcare. These speakers ended each camp day by encouraging the girls to pursue a variety of careers in STEM fields and highlighted the many ways that STEM principles come into play in the world around them. So while our summer camp was for 100 LISD female students, the learning the teachers were involved in is now impacting 7 classrooms or roughly 425 students this year alone. As you heard earlier from Aaron, some teachers have chosen to extend the learning by hosting a STEM club at their campus. Moving forward, we intend to replicate the Teacher STEM Professional Learning Academy and Student STEM Summer Camp and hope to increase the number of teachers and students impacted. We are passionate about encouraging and motivating current and future LISD students and teachers about STEM concepts. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for them or comments?
I do.
Mr. Miller?
First of all, the gentleman from Siemens, you said ask. I think 140,000 is the benchmark. Appreciate the 5,000, but there you go. I appreciate what you guys are doing. This is clearly an issue where, to coin the name of a book, the world is flat. I think it's a domestic issue. We see more engineers coming out of the international market from a female perspective, and we clearly have to do something. So I think the real challenge here is for us to expand this, accelerate this. There are probably parents in middle school and high school that are trying to figure out how they take advantage of this very quickly. I know AT&T has $350 million a year they spend on STEM, trying to get into schools and help kids move into STEM as well. I think, I'd be curious for another presentation how we can get, especially to the middle school and high schools, so that we don't lose. I think we need to get them young, but so we don't lose them in the next couple years, right? And it's just the type of thing where you talked about, where at one point you asked them how much they're using math and science on a day-to-day basis, and then once they had some awareness, they realized they use it more. As kids are picking the ninth grade, they're picking their pathway. They might not think they're good at math. And unless we expose this, not just to girls, but to boys too, they're going to pick a vocational path, and they might realize that they're pretty good at some of this stuff. So that would be my thought, Dr. Brockman. If we could accelerate this, it'd be great. And I know it's going to come down to money and that kind of thing. But again, unless we know, well, Siemens is going to pay for it. So I think we're set. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you to Siemens. We appreciate that. All right, next, Dr. Waddell.
Madam President, Dr. Waddell, esteemed board members, you probably remember that last year Lewisville ISD hosted Academic Decathlon. In fact, so successfully that the participants and people from other districts said this is the best run academic decathlon we've ever had, and we want you to do it from now on for the rest of your lives. At which point we said, oh, not that good. And so I would like to introduce Lori Rapp, who is going to talk with you about this, and she is also the person who helped engineer the magnificent work that we had last year.
Good evening. I do want to start out by saying thank you so much for your support last school year for the early release waiver that allowed us to use Lewisville High School as the location for the Region 9 Academic Decathlon Tournament. We, just as we did last year, we do have students and coaches from our schools here to talk with you about why Academic Decathlon is important to them. I'm going to give just a little bit of background about Academic Decathlon, then I'm going to ask them to come up and just share really quickly with you. Basically, this is a very unique competition, very prestigious competition where students compete over a 2-day period in 10 events. You see those there. You see speech, interview, there are written tests. There's a super quiz relay, which is open to the public to come watch. There's a 50-minute essay. This competition is unlike anything else you've ever seen, especially on the Friday evening where they are doing their interviews and their speeches, and you see students students filling the hallways, practicing their speech before they go in. It's really something to behold, and all their work is amazing to watch how it pays off. This year, the competition is January 30th and 31st. It does start early on Friday at 1 o'clock and goes all the way until the wee hours of the morning, actually, before you get everybody out of the building, and then picks up right again bright and early Saturday morning. A unique aspect of decathlon is that this is an opportunity for students who are A, B, and C students to participate on a team together. And we are fortunate in LISD that every one of our high schools field very strong academic decathlon teams. Region 9 is very competitive. It contains Frisco, Coppell, Carrollton Farmers Branch, Irving, Mesquite, Lovejoy, and Pine Tree. And actually, we have a school from Lubbock who is wanting to come into our region because we're so competitive and compete with our schools here. That gives you a testimony to how strong Region 9 is. We will host 27 schools that weekend for that competition. So what I'd like to do is ask our students and our coaches to come up and share briefly with you about who they are, where they're from, and why they're excited about us hosting Academic Decathlon and what it means to them.
Hello? All right, awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Chaw, and I go to Hebron High School. I'm a current junior, and this is my third year in academic decathlon. I'm also acting as the current co-captain for the team. Going into high school, as a freshman going to high school, I didn't really know much about academic decathlon. The only thing I knew about high school was that I wanted to take a lot of science courses, a lot of math courses, and basically become the best doctor ever. But taking the class, I saw it as an AP class, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to learn more about the world. Seeing 10 packets in front of me, over 3 inches of paper, was overwhelming to say the least. However, the things I've learned for academic decathlon has been overwhelming, and I wouldn't give it up for any other class in the school, to be honest. Being set with 10 different subjects, I've learned passions in subjects that I never thought I was going to learn about in high school, such as art history and music. Actually, going to competition, I scored higher in art and music than I did in math and science, which goes to show just how much you can really expand your knowledge about subjects. Secondly, the amount of skill it takes to be able to take notes over all these subjects has really helped me in other classes, such as world history and the classes I'm about to take. And I can really attribute a lot of my success in some of my classes to my ability to take notes because of this class. This is kind of inside the school, but outside the school, I've also been able to apply a lot of my academic decathlon knowledge. For example, I had a really awesome opportunity to go to Europe last year and the year before that, and being able to see some art pieces such as La Pieta, some things like the Parthenon and the Pantheon in all over Europe, and being able to see them, but also looking at them and being able to have a background history about some of them, and being able to really appreciate the work and some of the history behind some of the things really made a cool experience. It's something that I don't think I'll be able to forget for the rest of my life. Overall, academic decathlon has not just been an awesome class, but it's been something that is going to help me pursue an academic career and it really helped kindle passion for subjects I never knew I had. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Srija Sinivasan, and I'm Day's fellow co-captain for Hebron High School, and I'm a senior there. As Bob Marley once said, man is the universe within himself. ACTEC explored this universe of potential within me. It showed me the galaxies of unexplored topics I yearned to learn more about. Skyrocketed me on a journey to planets of unique teammates I closely bonded with, and launched me into the infinite space of study skills, with asteroids of competition passing by often. I hope to spread my knowledge, experiences, and leadership with others about this trailblazing organization, Academic Decathlon. Thanks.
Hello, What? Oh, okay, okay, I figured it out. My name is Jadson Matthews, and I am a sophomore at Hebron High School, along with Day and Sarija. You will have to forgive me as I'm not quite as well-spoken as those two.
I first got interested in academic decathlon when my sister was in high school, and she was as part of the team as well. Since then, my interest was piqued all throughout the later half of elementary school and middle school, and then my freshman year last year, I went and joined the team, not necessarily sure of what I was going and getting myself into. It definitely was a lot more work than I expected, and I was quickly slammed by all of my advanced classes and as well as the 10 packets which I had to learn from. But I quickly found a rhythm and realized that academic decathlon was sort of like a second home. I was comfortable there and everyone was friendly, and I was able to really more concentrate on whether or not I learned all of the things that were being taught to me, rather than just making sure that I got the grade that I wanted or needed to necessarily to get the credit. And for a lot of people that just join ACDEC, that really is what it's all about, just getting the grade. But soon enough that they themselves learn that it's not just about the grade, it's about being a team and learning how to work well with others and learning essential skills like public speaking that you can use later on in life. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Haley, and I'm a senior from Lewisville High School. This is actually my first year doing ACDEC, and I'm really excited because last year I was one of the volunteers that helped with the region competition, and I was amazed at the speech and interview contest because I was leading the competitors like back and forth and seeing them practicing, and I'm like, this is something I might want to join. Why not joining it? And then this year I came in, I saw 10 different PDF files on Edmodo, and I'm like, well, let's see how many pages it is. Oh my God! And I'm like, well, this is going to take a while. I'm just going to learn whatever I can. And when you have AP calculus homework, anatomy, all region and all state and orchestra to get prepared for, it's really overwhelming. But I realized that ACDEC helped me find out that my time management skills was way off. And I better step up my game before college because, you know, in college you get a lot of things undone. And ACDEC, I realized that it's not, you don't have to get a certain scores. It's all matter on how much you learn. You have fun with everyone. You compete, and then you compete yourself as a team at like the super quiz. Last year I did actually participate in the super quiz at the same time. I'm amazed at myself for getting half of the questions right by guessing. And yeah, to me, ACDEC is like it's like a place where I belong, just like orchestra. I'm at ease there. I learn a lot of things that I've never known about, like in music. I've never known that actually music started with just voices, and then eventually they're adding rhythm together, and they add more voices, and eventually became instruments added, and yeah, it became classical music, and then somehow become black rap music we know just now. So ACDEC helped me a lot with not only academically, but also physically and mentally. So I love ACDEC. Peace.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is Lisa Thompson. I'm actually Jasmine's sister. So I graduated from Hebron High School in 2010, so I have that unique experience of being an alumni and having some few years removed to see exactly how being in academic decathlon has impacted my life. We first moved here to Texas when I was a 10th grader, so that's when I first joined academic decathlon, and like it's been said before, it became my second family. It really helped me fit into school, figure out who and where I wanted to be. Since then, I have finished college, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to achieve recognition at both the national and international level via different scientific presentations as well as academic publications. And I believe that I would have had the skill set to achieve those things, but I would not have had the confidence that I needed to really pursue success in those areas without being a part of Academic Decathlon and being able to achieve excellence there and learning that I can do those things, both in a team, on a team level and at an individual level. I think the biggest thing that was helpful was our speech category, where we're able to write a speech that's 3 to 5 minutes long, but then we also have to come up with one off the top of our heads. So I can fully attest to the fact that that's why these students right here are so eloquent standing here before you. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm again that Academic Decathlon is so important. I'm very grateful that my sister is able to be here as well along with these other students to really reap the benefits of that. So I'm grateful we have the funding and the passion for it as well. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Donna Friend. I'm the Academic Decathlon coach from Hebron High School, and the Pips behind me nominated me to be the speaker for the coaches. So here I am. I think I began coaching at Hebron in 0102, but truthfully at this moment it's kind of a blur as to how long I've been doing it. But I got into it because I, like Lisa, am an alumni of Academic Decathlon. I participated my senior year in high school in Willis, Texas, which is a hole in the wall north of Houston, but got into it because my father brought it to our high school when I was in elementary school, and I watched these big kids go and get medals, and I watched them answer questions in a super quiz, and I tried to play along as if I knew as much information as an elementary school student as these senior students did, and that was impossible, but fun and thrilling to see them compete over academics. So I have a unique perspective that I've seen it from the seat of a student and from the seat of a coach. And the kids get tired of me talking about the only one medal I got was the interview medal, and that one turkey beat me by 1 point. So I got the silver and he got the gold. But it's one of those things that stuck with me because ACDEC does that. As you've seen, these kids feel that it's their family, and as long as I've been coaching them, they're kind of my family at this point, and I'm grateful for that. What I really appreciate about Academic Decathlon maybe the most is the varied level of the students. As Ms. Rapp said, we've got the A, the B, and the C level students, and some of those C level students don't ever get that opportunity to compete academically and to show that maybe they don't like to do all of their homework, but that doesn't mean they're not genius and that they're not just as important as the B kids or as the A kids. And they form some of the craziest and coolest relationships as a team of 9, especially when you travel with them to faraway places and you're stuck in a car or an airport in El Paso one time. That was fun as well. As all the kids have said, it's public speaking, it's confidence, it's collaboration, it's managing an excessive amount of material. And they're not kidding when they say excessive. I like, and I think Dave mentioned this first, that in the end they get a well-rounded education because of the 10 subjects. And because of the focus of the theme, they ultimately understand that there are these overarching connections between all of the curriculum areas. And so they learn to understand all the different areas and to see those connections between them. And then they're rock stars when they go to their classes. There are other classes that aren't ours. And they have these skills to study more than they've ever had them before, or to take tests better than they've ever have before, or to speak publicly when the opportunity arises. So I appreciate your support. Dr. Riddell was right. Last year's meet was amazing. I would say the best we've ever been to. That was not an exaggeration. It really ran beautifully and smoothly, and we're thrilled to come back to LHS, and we're kind of proud that we were the ones hosting it. We kind of told everybody. So we thank you for doing it and for being willing to do it, and it's okay if you do it after this year, too. We'll let you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Mays, and I'm one of the academic decathlon coaches at Lewisville High School. And I would just like to say how very proud we were to be the building that hosted this magnificent meet. And we really want to thank Lori Rapp and Courtney Hart and Karen Seeley for the tireless work that they did to do all of the organization and the planning that made LISD shine so brightly, and all of our students and all of the districts that we hosted at our school. So thank you very much for that. We used every square inch of the building just about, so your consideration in letting us out a little early that day is very helpful. So thank you very much.
And my name is Kelly Sutterth, and I'm at Marcus High School, and they've said everything I think needs to be said.
And I'm Julie Tipton, and I'm at Flower Mound High School. And thank you again for your support of our program. We really appreciate it.
We were so proud last year. I have a picture of a classroom where the students, the LHS students in the class, had drawn support for the team that was going to be in their room. It happened to be the Coppell Cowboys, I believe, that were going to be in there. And the LHS class had drawn a picture for them saying, you know, you can do this, good luck, and they had written something back to them. And so I feel like we did shine, and we won't take any of the credit for that. It's about the hard work of the coaches and the kids, and we have amazing students and teachers in this district, and so it's an honor to get to support them. So we appreciate coming back here next month for hopefully the approval of the early release waiver. Any questions, or you want to give them props, whatever it is you need to do at this point?
Did anyone have something? Mr. Miller?
I was going to say, if you're over 19 and you felt you weren't very smart before, you certainly feel it now. I was thinking that Pearson ought to hire these 5 kids to do work on the digits program, actually. So you guys, thanks for your presentations. It's great. Pearson may want to take you up on it, though.
Yes, it's fun.
I just wanted to also say how many comments I got. I was able to participate as a speech judge last year, and Ms. Sheffield and I were able to hand out the awards at the ceremony. It was amazing, and I heard so many comments about how well it was run, and I had never participated before, so I was a little biased. But, I mean, I didn't ask them to say that, but so they definitely were impressed, and I was more nervous, I think, as a speech judge than the students were, because they come in and they pick a topic and they have to do the speech right then. So I'm really impressed. I'm so thankful that you're here and you came tonight, and I need you to go home now and do your homework.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really do appreciate all the hard work. And Lori, I know you said that you don't want to take any credit, but you and your team did an amazing job, and so you deserve tons of credit for a great job well done. So thank you so much. All right, Dr. Burnett, you get to follow that.
Thanks. We don't have any presentation that can even get close to that. You have before you, as you have each month, our monthly financials. Those are reflect where we are at the end of the fiscal year, so they represent our best guess until we get the auditors in here in the next few weeks, and they start going through our numbers and taking all the things that are, sorting them out, the things that should be assigned to 2014-15, and those things that were properly coded to 2013 and 14. And we always have a number of things that happen in September, some revenues that we receive that get coded into the previous fiscal year. The good news is that we're, I think we mentioned to you earlier, that we're trending to close the gap that we had in the 13-14 year, and we're actually going to be a little bit better than what we expected, and put a few dollars into fund balance, which is a good problem to have. But nevertheless, those are things that had happened at the end of the year that we don't necessarily can depend on. We had some unusual things happen with our E-rate reimbursement. You may recall in January of 2013, we asked you to commit to a contract that fronted some money up front, and we didn't spend all of that money, and we did get E-rate reimbursement on that money, which we have received now, and we can realize that in the 13-14. We would like to take just a minute and tell you that we had a very successful bond sale last week. We sold the remaining authorization in the 2008 bonds, the $103 million, and we refunded the about $54 million in our bonds, as we had talked to you in September, which we had asked you to authorize us to go forward with the parameters. We did get a true interest rate on the new bonds of of 2.84%, which was our parameter was 4%, so we were well below that. And we got a true interest rate on the refunding bonds of 2.67, which was over a 2% decrease in the bonds that we refunded. That reflected a debt service savings of a little over $12 million. And what that basically means is that when we set our tax rate a year from now, that you will be in a position to actually set a tax rate that's a little lower than the one that you set this year, and despite the fact of having sold over $100 million in bonds. So that's an enviable position to be in, and the tax rate you set in August of 2015 will be the highest tax rate that the district will set until those bonds are sold, or until those bonds are paid off in 2030, and which is a very rapid amortization schedule for Texas school districts. So that's really good news, and the district's in a good position because of all of those moving parts.
Thank you, Dr. Burnett. Any questions? Okay. Well, we'll move on for your second one.
Our construction update, we have Mr. Perry who will bring us up to date on our various projects.
Thank you, Dr. Burdett. Good evening. Our progress continues on our 9th grade campuses. As you know, we moved our students in on time for school. However, we had a lengthy punch list and plenty of things to finish there, and we continue that process. We continue meeting with the campus staff weekly to make sure we're addressing their most urgent needs first. Marcus Arena, we mentioned previously that arena has opened, and they're enjoying that facility. Coaches have moved in, and they're starting to use it. The Flower Mound Arena, we had a very productive meeting with the town of Flower Mound today. We met with the building department and the fire marshal. They're very supportive in getting us open. We should have a CO this week, which is good for the Flower Mound Arena. And we would anticipate moving campus staff, coaches, and programs into the arena starting next week or the following weekend. Of course, we want to make sure we run through all the systems, PA, scoreboard, and get all the training done before we actually have a big game there. Camey is on track to open first of the year over Christmas break, and Griffin is on track to open June 15th of next year. Be glad to answer any questions if you've got any.
You want Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Perry. I don't know if this would come from the quarterly report from the Bond Oversight Committee or if you could do it at the next meeting, but I'd be curious, based on the punch list from the upper schools in Marcus and Flower Mound, of the work that has to be done on the 10th through 12th grade campuses, what the timeline is for those to be completed. So as an example, the thoroughfare in Marcus from the main campus to the 9th grade campus, just little things like that are ultimately big things. I think from a timing perspective, kids going from 9th grade campus to a science class, AP Science on the far end of the building, just for us to have a timeline of when those might be completed. Are we talking 12 months, 18 months, those types of things? The additional things that I think we didn't do in order to get the CO and get the kids in, just kind of get a feel for where we're going to be on that.
Mr. Miller, I think you're referring to the final piece of this is the renovation piece.
Yes.
Both at Flower Mound and at Marcus. I believe that's what
Right.
you're referring to. So that piece, excuse me, that piece is contingent upon us moving those programs out of their existing spaces and into the arenas. So the arenas is really the trigger to that. Okay. Now that we have Marcus open, we've started looking at that. Flower Mound opening this week or next, we'll start moving camp programs into the arena and be able to take another look at the renovations. I think that's a 6-month process just off the top of my head. Marcus specifically, Marcus is a little more in-depth than Flower Mound's was. Marcus is a little older facility, so it needed a little more than what Flower Mound had. So we're in there with the architects and the engineers now, really looking at what load-bearing walls there are, what structural issues we've got, how do we move programs around, make spaces bigger, make spaces smaller, how do we do that? We're also working with the campus staff at both of those schools to make sure that we've accurately addressed their needs. I think that's a 6-month project is what I really think it is.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I do have just a clarification. So when you talk about renovation, so again, that piece from Marcus, that connecting, like you're going to make a straight connection, if
Yes,
I understand
we are.
that correctly. So that piece is a renovation?
It is. It is. That's part of the existing building.
Okay.
So we would go in and renovate that space. That corridor we're referring to actually cuts through PE locker rooms, through the existing concession stand. So all of that needs to be renovated and relocated.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we are moving into action items. Dr. Brockman? Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion.
Ms. Sheffield, I make a motion to consider the approval of class size waiver request to the Texas Education Agency. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Latham. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Duke. Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Latham, a second by Ms. Duke. Okay, Dr. Brockman.
All right, we are bringing forth to you a request for waivers to the maximum class size. We've done this over the last several years. We have been given more latitude by TEA to request more waivers, and we are, in conjunction with other districts in the Metroplex, finding the need to request additional waivers. You have a chart in your materials indicating where those waivers are needed and at what grade levels. As a reminder, these are waivers need to be requested anytime we have a class K through 4 with more than 22 students. So a waiver could be at 23 or at 24. In fact, most of our waiver requests are at 23 or 24. We have a new calculation this year that is really impacting us at 4th grade. In the past, if we had one classroom that was more than 22, they would only count as one waiver or one exception, one waiver request. But starting this year, LISD and our fellow districts have been requested by TEA to include that class as many times as they may move. So in 4th grade, if the setup at the campus is departmentalized and that class has one teacher for math and science and another teacher for language arts and social studies, they would actually count as needing a waiver in each spot because it follows the teacher. We also have a couple of situations where a class is only temporarily during the day above 22 students at one of our elementary schools where they've advanced some students in mathematics instruction only. When they move to that grade level for mathematics instruction, that puts them over 22 to 1, not for the day, but for the part of day. And they are reflected here. I'm happy to entertain any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? Ms. Latham?
I actually have 3. The first one I think is for Ms. Brenda. Could you explain what the model is that we use for staffing elementary schools? Because a couple of speakers and emails, I don't think that's very clear what the model is that we're using.
Go ahead. Thank you, Ms. West.
Thank you. Our staffing model that we have been using for 3 years now, we did it in development with Moat Casey. When Moat Casey came and did an efficiency study, we developed our staffing models. And on the staffing model for elementary, looking at funding, you do have to have a staffing model that is fair and consistent, and that there are triggers in order to ensure that there is equity across the district as much as possible. So when we do staffing in the spring and fall for the following year, we start in December and we look at enrollment, highest enrollment, peak enrollment, projection enrollment, lots of enrollment. We get numbers every week looking at enrollment. We take those numbers, and in the spring when we staff, we look at a projection, and our division of classes is based on 22 to 1. After school starts, sometimes you have a little bit of mobility and a little bit of transition, and you can't guess at where those things occur. So we do have the staffing model in place that says any classroom you have to have 3 or more classrooms at 24 before we consider adding another teacher at K through 4. There's no class size limit for 5th grade, no class size limit for pre-K or for specials.
But they have to have 3 classes of 24 or more before you consider hiring another teacher, but the model is 22 to 1. I missed something.
The state requirement is 22 to 1, and anything beyond that, you have to request a waiver. Because
But our model, which is what I'm asking about,
22 to 1, except after May.
so if we have using our model, we use 22 to 1, but we will not consider hiring another teacher unless we have 3 or more classes at that campus over 24.
In that grade level, correct.
In that grade level.
Mm-hmm. And there's lots of factors that go into play with that. We also look at mobility on that campus. We look at trends in enrollment. We look at what's the potential of additional students, demographic studies. Is there new apartment complexes going in? Is there new home developments going in? All of those things are taken into consideration when we look at additional staff.
Allow me to make one clarification. It's not 3 or more classes above 24, it's 3 or more classes at 24 or above.
Okay. My next question is, on this chart, there's asterisk next to some of these letters?
Yeah.
Numbers.
Numbers. Mm-hmm. That's the departmentalized situation. So,
if they move.
Mm-hmm. So you have, for example, Highland Village, 4th grade. They have maybe 1 or 2 classes that have more than 22 students, but they go to different teachers. They have departmentalization. Flower Mound, I believe, is one of them as well.
I must have missed the note where that asterisk was explained, so thank you. And then my last one is, what is the expense for additional teachers to avoid these waivers altogether?
If we did not go for any waivers, it would be more than $2.1 million.
And then
additional
we're talking
staff.
about K through 4.
K through 4.
2.1 million.
Correct.
And we're not going to be depleting any money out of our fund balance, Dr. Burnett?
Well, the short answer is if you budgeted that in 2014-15, you would be adding to the budgeted deficit because we've budgeted at a deficit budget.
That's all I had, Ms. Sheffield.
Okay. Mr. Miller? Oh, I thought you had your hand on the button.
I will, but...
Well, do you have a question, Ms. Cox? Oh, well, go ahead.
To Ms. Latham's point, I mean, clearly the 2.1 million is an annual number, and we would have to take out of the fund balance because our current budget for the year has us taking out of the fund balance $18 million. So we'd be taking out $20 million. But I also understand the numbers to be, if we did this for K and 1, to be about 600,000, which I think is the information we got. But I wanted to clarify a couple things and just make sure that, the community that's reached out to us today, we got the emails. It's a small community that's reached out to us. As a matter of equity, the district has had this policy in place for years and still met the scholastic performance that we have within LISD. Doesn't mean that the issues that are raised for us are not important and that the parents' concerns aren't legitimate. But it is a policy we've had. So as it relates to policy, though, I'm curious as to, is that board policy, district policy, where does it fit into, GK local, blah, 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 whatever those things are, and how does that apply to this situation?
That's administrative procedure that we developed as part of really embedded in our budgeting process, but it's the procedure we use in order to allocate staff and develop our budgeting priorities.
And that's been in place for quite a while. So we would be, if we didn't do this, we would essentially be modifying a policy that the district has had for years, if not decades. The 24.
There's been some manner of this. There's been a model to allocate staff for years. This one, is, as Ms. West said, we put into place 3 years ago. That was when, I guess, in the 2011 legislative session, as a response to that, when we lost the $54 million. It was also in response to the legislature that year realized that, as you all do, that staffing drives nearly all of our budgeting considerations. They realized the kinds of cuts they were making that year and that they needed to do something about that. They had some bills filed. Essentially, there was the one I remember, there was more than one, but the one I remember, that had the most traction, looked like it had a chance to pass, was a 22-to-1 average. They were giving up on the 22-to-1 law that had been around for a long time. Now, and I want to backtrack a little bit further. There's always been variations to the 22-to-1. When they first put it into place, they allowed each grade level in any school to go to 24-to-1 in one class. That was later changed, and there was more flexibility put into the law than that. But with the 2011 legislature, they knew that this was driving a lot of the issues regarding school funding, so they wrote bills to try to change the 22-to-1. I see some of my friends from the teacher organizations here in the front, and they remember that quite well, I'm sure. And in the final analysis, the legislature did not have the will to pass that bill. What they did do was they told Texas Education Agency that they should, in the past it was difficult to get waivers, and sometimes it involved public hearings to do that. But they instructed the agency to approve waivers that districts sent in, and more of a pro forma approval. So that's been the case since then. We adjusted our elementary staffing models at that time to reflect the heavy budget cuts that we had and to control that, while still, as you pointed out, providing equity in the district and keeping some controls. Keeping a lot of controls, I should say, on the class size. So we made some modifications to it, but and the modifications were similar to what the legislature was considering in their 22-to-1 average across the board. It would equal out to about the same thing. I'd like to point out that even that first year, when we looked at waivers in the Metroplex, this district was one of the lower number for waivers of districts near our size, and we remain that way even this year. District just to the east of us proposing over 100 waivers. I don't remember the 150. So well over 100 waivers. So our model works, and it is. We still believe it's conservative given the situations we're in, and also in recognition of where the legislature was at in 2011. But as a practice, there's always been some model that has modified that 22-to-1, and probably that's been true back to the mid-'80s.
Thank you, Dr. Waddell, and I think that's the clarification I was looking for. So we have a practice. It might have changed in ratios or spans, that type of thing, but we have to make a decision. As empathetic as I am to reducing class sizes, we have to make a decision based on some type of equitable standard and policy that we have in place. And the district has a staffing policy that I'm not sure that has been at question, although to a small degree today, like it is now. And we have, I think if we were to modify it, There are some schools in the central and in the east that I would focus on. But that said, I'd like for us to, again, as empathetic as I am to the issue of reducing the class sizes, consider that if we don't make this decision tonight based on policy, it weakens our ability to make decisions like this in the future based on precedent and equity going forward.
Ms. Cox?
Yeah, I just have a question for clarification about what Mr. Miller just asked. How much is it, again, what's the dollar amount for the whole, and then what is it just like K through 1?
For the whole, it's around $2.1 million. For just the K1, it would be around $600,000, assuming it was a, teacher with under 15 years experience that we were able to locate.
Okay, with so criteria in place or something.
That's an average salary of about 60.
Okay. My second question is, how are under the current conditions, how are the adaptations in the classrooms under the current conditions with the oversized?
Our principals and our teachers are doing a fabulous job. They know the challenge of finding teachers at this point in the year, and many of our principals, we want to leave it the way we are. We're moving ahead. They exchange discussions about their group size, their small group instruction within the classroom. When you look at it, there's very little difference between 23 kids and 22 kids in how you structure your instruction. I empathize with teachers that have a large number of students and the concern of the parents, and I really do. I really understand that. But when you walk into a classroom of 22 students and watch how they're engaged versus a class of 23 students and how they're engaged, there is not a significant difference in what instruction looks like.
Our speaker was correct about the research a little earlier tonight. The person that spoke here in open forum, the literature says, and it's been this way for 30 years, that there's no difference till you get below 15 to 1. So you're not going to see any difference. Again, you have to have some system that regulates what you do in terms of an allocation, and we have that. But Dr. Brockman's right, as was our speaker earlier who spoke up the open forum mic. Until you get down below 15 to 1, you're not going to see any differences.
Just a comment. I think it's really important. It's a tough situation, I think, that we're in, that for kids that are in K through first, I think it's crucial on the class size because this is their first year of learning, and it's very crucial that they have as much attention as possible from that teacher. As they get a little bit older, they learn to adapt a little bit, into an increased class size. But I just want to go on the record and comment that I think it's very crucial and important that the class size is crucial in K through 1.
Anyone else? Ms. Hassett?
I would also like to reiterate what Dr. Waddell had said, that this is by and large a staffing issue because that's the majority of our budget, and it's also a funding issue with the state. If anybody in the audience, parents, teachers, community members, would like to help us bug the state, this needs to be changed as a funding level from the state. We need more funding in order to have lower class sizes. We get majority of the funding from them, and without that, we can't adequately have lower class sizes and pay teachers what they're deserving.
Could I thank Ms. Hassett for that comment? And I'd like to add, when people say, what did you do when the legislature, you said you lost $54 million due to legislative action in the 2011 legislature. What did you do to respond to that? Well, one major thing we did to respond to it was adjust our staffing model. That's what we had to do. And you see, the report Dr. Burnett made earlier tonight on the financial report is a reflection of those kinds of adjustments that put us in good financial shape. We were forced into that situation, as Ms. Hassett said, and we had to respond to it in essence. And I have great friends in the legislature who I admire a lot, and they work hard. But the legislature as a whole punted in 2011, and we had to fill that punt, and that's what we did.
Anyone else? Okay. Oh, yes, Ms. Latham.
I have one additional question, just for clarification. In this chart, these numbers, is that number of classes or number of children over?
Number of classrooms. They could be in 5 or 6 of the cases. I think Ms. Sheffield asked this earlier, or asked me to research this earlier. In I think 5 of the cases, if the principal elected to shuffle kids around, then we wouldn't need 5 of those waivers. But in one class I have 23, in one class we have 21. I could move that student to that 21 class and I wouldn't need that waiver. So these are the number of classrooms, not the number of students. A majority of them are 23 in those classrooms.
And I understand the policy. I've been here a while. I understand the staffing model. I support the staffing model. Where I am really struggling with this is that Central Elementary and Lakeland Elementary are on this list, and we're going to be talking about them on the next topic. And I have a hard time supporting the waivers for those 2 schools. I can't do it.
So, Ms. Latham, I think that's a great point, and I've been struggling with Central and how we provide more to support Central. I think it's important to understand that if we agree to this tonight, it does not preclude us from making an investment in teachers or aides or other resources. It's not that the district's making a commitment for that, but it doesn't prevent us from taking a look at what we need to do in those classrooms.
A couple things I would add. This, I hear what you say, and I understand it. But you have to approach this from a systems perspective. It's about kids, and it's about teachers, and I talk about that as much as anybody does. But when you're going to staff, you have to do that from a systems perspective. And you cannot deviate from that on any given year, because as soon as you do, the next year, the year after, you're going to have some problem based on that deviation. So one thing we have in our model is what we call Student Demographic Index, which we developed in the same time 3 years ago. And, I would just recommend that that's something like that could be considered for campuses like Central, but it can't be done on an ad hoc or knee-jerk basis. You have to look at it and go, how do we want that to work? How do we apply it so it works for us across the board? It's equitable, it's justifiable, it's rational, and it works year after year after year. So it's not just a question of this year's waivers or this year's staffing. It's a question of, there's not a staffing model, including ours, that's perfect. And anything you do represents some form of compromise in terms of ensuring the integrity of the classroom and managing the budget. 22-to-1 was a compromise when it was developed the first time. But we could certainly look at this in terms of the model itself and seeing, can a demographic, something like a demographic index, be applied, when it comes to things, a situation like you're mentioning. It's just, I don't think you can move away from that, though, in just a non-systematic way and go, I'm going to make an exception for that this year, because how do you justify your other decisions from people who are in 22-to-1 who also depend upon that?
So are you saying we did not use the SDI?
We used it, but it doesn't affect you use Central as an example. It doesn't affect the kindergarten and the first grade, or it doesn't affect the staffing for Central in these classrooms. It doesn't affect 22-to-1. It affects other things.
So in what you're saying, does that mean that there's potential for flexibility in terms of aids or additional resources for
the schools that are benefited by SDI are already benefiting from that with staffing.
Okay. Can you tell us how many waivers we had last year compared to this year?
You have to look that up.
We had 63 last year, and we figured that if we calculated exactly the same way this year without the rotating classes at fourth grade, we'd be at about the same level.
Okay, thank you. I think the key also that you mentioned was locating teachers, and that's kind of
hard to do in October.
Yes. I do think, though, that just having this information on our website would be helpful so that so people understand kind of how we staff and why we have waivers and how that. I think we get questions, and I think it would be nice if we could just provide that information somewhere.
We can certainly do that.
Just my 2 cents. And then, as you stated, so the latitude really in the exception comes from the budget cuts that were made, correct? We used to be pretty consistent with that, but because we made budget cuts, now TEA and the legislators said, well, we're going to allow waivers. Is that kind of how I understand that?
In the past, waivers were not they were not readily available and readily approved. With the significant budget cuts to districts 3 years ago, it became much easier to apply for those waivers as needed.
I think if I remember right, the way they used to be done is if you had a waiver more than 1 year, then you had to have a hearing on that, and you also had to supply a plan as to how you're going to remedy that. For example, build new classrooms. There'd be different things. If you said we can't do it because, for example, and this happens, we don't have enough classrooms. Well, TEA didn't consider that to be a good reason. May not be. And so you'd have to have a plan for how you're going to fix that problem. So you couldn't do it just because of the size of your building. And so, but I think that's how they looked at the district waiver request, before the 2011 session.
And where do we get the magic number 22?
Magic number 22 came about in H. Ross Perot's school reform bill back in the 1984, I believe it was, and his commission that worked on school reform. One of the elements, along with things like no pass, no play, was reducing class size, because I can tell you that class sizes in Texas K through 12 were much larger in those days, and there's still a few of us that remember that than they are now, or than they would have been after 1984. But it forced, and I think for good reason, forced smaller class sizes at K4. The points the board has made tonight about the importance of primary education are that's understandable, and that's what they were thinking about. They just chose that number as to one that they thought they could afford. It forced smaller class sizes, but it wasn't necessarily based on research, because the research was already there about what the number was that would make a difference, and they knew they couldn't afford 15 to 1. So in working with teacher groups and other interest groups, they settled on a 22 to 1 number, and that's become kind of sacred in Texas, even though, as I mentioned before, there's always been variation of that. An offshoot of the problem has been, probably since that time, an increase, or maybe not an increase in class size at secondary, but certainly not decreases in class sizes at the secondary level. So, but that's where the 22 came from.
All right. Any other questions? All right. So we have the motion and the second. All those in favor of approving class size waivers? And that is Ms. Vaughn, Ms. Cox, Ms. Hassett, Ms. Sheffield, and Mr. Miller. Those opposed? Oh, I'm sorry. What did I say? Oh, I'm sorry. Not Ms. Duke. My apologies. Not Ms. Cox. Those opposed? And that is Ms. Cox and Ms. Latham. All right. Okay. Moving on, I need a motion. Thank you, Ms. Duke. Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. All right, that's been motioned and seconded. Motion by Ms. Duke, second by Ms. Vaughn. Dr. Riddell, would you please address this one for us?
Yes, I'd be happy to. If you remember last month, we talked about professional service providers, and I promised that we would come back this month and that we would talk about the approving the campus targeted improvement plans. So the main idea with this is the main purpose is to provide school leadership team and staff the opportunity to very closely review school data to determine the greatest needs that their students had, and to structure a plan that would meet students' needs, a plan that would be evaluated at a minimum of 4 times a year, and that it would be adjusted throughout the year. So what you see today may not be what you see in January, because however the students respond, then that tells the teachers what to do next. So some of the things might be looking at item analysis to determine which students are really doing well in certain areas and which students need help in other areas. Something that you might not have thought of, but it is part of our system, would be to look at students who met standard but did not show growth, or students who showed growth and didn't meet standards. Or finding student misunderstandings. And so all of our plans, you'll notice, because you've seen them, begin with adult learning, because we believe that something happened and we want to make sure that all of our adults have the information that they need so that we can improve the student learning. All of these plans were put together with principals, a campus team, and the professional service providers. All of the work centers on closing learning gaps for students, and we focus both on the standards and the design qualities. And at your seat, you do have a copy of Schlechty's Design Qualities. These are ways that we have worked with our teachers to be sure that we can design lessons. First, you start with the standards. That's where you start. And then you look at how could I design lessons that would A, meet my students' needs, and B, really intrigue the students so that they want to persevere even if the learning is difficult. Principals will collect information approximately every 2 weeks, and they will work with their teachers then to decide what that information means. And I appreciate a question that came over the weekend. Students will not be removed from classes to be remediated for this, but they will be receiving additional learning before school, during school, and after school, and often on Saturdays. And students will participate in fine arts specials and those kinds of things.
Thank you. Are there questions? Yes, Ms. Cox.
Well, just a comment. I want to commend the staff and everyone, principals, for a great extensive plan. This is very well done, so I want to commend you all for that. My question is you mentioned evaluation. Is there a time frame like for evaluation? Is like every 6 months, or is there a set time?
Thank you. Yes. You'll notice that they had quartiles, and so they'll be evaluating every 2 weeks, but also they will evaluate at the end of each quarter of the year. And they also have a plan that they have to submit to TEA at the end of each quarter.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Vaughn.
Dr. Riddell, how are we going to incorporate or transition new teachers that will be hired at the end of the year for next year so they can be right on track?
Great question. We do a profound amount of professional learning all summer long that deals with the standards, and it deals also with strategies or how you design to make the learning meaningful for students based on whoever is in your class. And so we have that kind of professional learning that occurs every summer, and then when our teachers come back on contract, every campus has some kind of professional learning that also talks not just about those items, but how their students need to learn.
I just want to piggyback on what Ms. Cox said. Thank you so much for the staff and everyone in the dedication. I have no doubt that these schools are going to excel and these students are just going to do so well because of our dedicated staff, and please send our appreciation to them.
Well, they are here, so.
Well, the ones that are.
Anyone else? All right, so I think I understand this, but the strategies that you employ at these campuses are kind of overall strategies for the campus as well as then geared to individual students?
Yes. So when you're looking for instance, designing a lesson, the first thing you do is think about the students themselves. Okay, so if I'm a teacher and I am thinking about the students in my class, I know which children should be together and shouldn't. I know which children understand certain things but not other things. And so I can have small groups within my larger group that would give me an opportunity as a teacher to address individual needs or small group needs. You're welcome.
So do we not pull students out of class? I know in the past we used to pull students out of class, or I'm sorry, not out of class, out of specials and PE for remediation for state testing. Do we not do that anymore?
What we found to be valuable is to have both before, during, and after school time to extend the learning. But it's really hard to incentivize a child who didn't do well and then they don't get to do any of the things that they really came to school to do. And so we work very hard to make sure that we have all of the opportunities available. And so, for instance, during the day, there might be a time where the fourth grade teachers would have looked at all of the students' work, and they would understand that this group needs this particular information in math. This group needs a different math skill. This group needs a different math skill. And so the teachers could regroup the children during the day and adequately serve their needs at that point, which would be filling in the gaps, as well as having their math class.
Thank you, because that makes me really happy to hear that we're not pulling kids out of specials in PE, because that's just sad and wrong. I know one of the things that that I had asked about is if this would be something that we would come back to us, and I think it would be helpful. I know that you have to provide quarterly updates to TEA, and just maybe as those, I mean, you're doing the reports anyway, I think it would be nice to hear just kind of the progress, because, you know, like you mentioned that, you know, College Street missed it by 1 point of not having to be here, and so, or be in this process again. So I don't know, I think I would appreciate it if we could have just updates on progress and where they are. And
I mentioned your request earlier to the principals, and they're fine with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Miller?
So I think that, you know, the interesting thing here is the thing that's putting us in this position is the thing that most of us revolt over the most, which is the STAR testing. And when you look at the schools that are in here, and I know that there are a lot of staff here supporting your cause, I'm not nervous about our ability to make improvements, and it's because of our ability to execute as a staff. I think this is, sometimes we get wrapped up in LISD and looking at the number of national merits and things in the achievement side of things scholastically, where moving from 41 national merits to 43 is not as hard as moving the achievement gap from what Central and Hedrick have to do. It's probably the toughest job in the district, yet it's one of the most one of the most significant things we have to do as a district. And so I know there are a lot of folks here supporting your cause. We trust you guys. I hate the fact that the TEA's put us in this position, but we are in this position. And, once we can influence how the these things were designed for school districts that didn't have the kind of performance that we do overall and the type of staff. But that said, we're at where we're at. I trust you guys. It'd be interesting to see where we're at on the update. And as a reminder, we've got to remember in LISD, the West Zone and Hebron and some of these other schools are anomalies. We have some fundamental things here where we could use help with. We could use some attention. And we need to give those schools what they need to make that happen. And if that means, regardless of the vote tonight, that we need to look at additional staff in classrooms, then I'm all for the district making that recommendation back to us and how we help these principals make it happen.
And I would like to commend our principals and our teachers, having been where you sit. It is both the hardest work you'll ever love, and it is the most rewarding work to see our students perform when they didn't think they could. It is amazing work.
All right, are there any other comments or questions? No. Okay. All right, all those in favor to consider approval of target improvement plans, just raise your hand. And that is unanimous. All right, we are moving on to consent. Are there any items that need to be pulled? Yes, Ms. Cox?
I'd like to pull 2B1.
All right. Are there any others? Okay. Could someone please make a motion for all except that one?
I make a motion to approve all the consent agenda items with the exception of 2B1.
Thank you, Ms. Latham. Do I have a second? Yes, thank you, Ms. Hassett. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Oh, okay. Okay, and that is unanimous. And now, Ms. Cox, would you like to make a motion?
Just more of a comment.
You have to make a motion. Okay. Could I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve consent agenda item 2B1.
Okay, I need a second. Thank you, Ms. Hassett. That's a motion by Ms. Latham, a second by Ms. Hassett. Your discussion.
Now I can. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to more make a comment on the RFQ that if we're going to present to the board, I would have really liked to have seen some presentations by all the attorneys. Nothing against Luna and Luna. I think they're a great company and do a fabulous job for the district. But I would have liked to have seen proposals from the different attorneys to see what they were going to be offering for our district. That's my only comment.
Okay, anyone else? All right, all those in favor of 2B1? And all those opposed? Oh, do I need to hold on? Let me read that for the record. So that was Ms. Vaughn, Ms. Duke, Ms. Hassett, Ms. Sheffield, and Ms. Latham. All those opposed? And opposed, we have Ms. Cox and Mr. Miller. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I guess that's it. If there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned, and the time is now 9:31.
Hey, Matt.